Coming up on tonight's episode of Living Ramadan, we speak to actor and artist Marwan Hassan about how he lives his Ramadan. Professor Hugh Corder provides a non-Muslim's perspective on Ramadan. We receive an inspirational message from Nuha Esop. We learn more about the Muslim Student Association, the MSA's activities during Ramadan and outside of the month as well. In our global Ramadan perspective, we take a trip to Doha as Mehboob Bawa speaks to sports coach Shafiq Abdul Qasim about health activities as well as sporting activities in the month of Ramadan. Our mosque location today is the Jamia Masjid in Lower Kapini Street in the Bukap, and we speak to the Imam of the Masjid, Imam Abdul Moti Saban, about the Masjid activities. And we end with a musical interlude. Salam and welcome to episode 3 of Living Ramadan. Today we find ourselves in the heart of the CBD in the Burkap, an area that is etched with history. And the masjid that we come to you from today is the Jamia Mosque. So this masjid was started in 1850, and the land where the mosque is situated was given permission for a masjid to be built. It was the first masjid to be given permission by the British Crown. Hence the mosque is also known as the Queen Victoria Mosque. A little bit later on in the show, we're going to be speaking to the resident Imam of the Masjid, and that is Imam Abdul Moti Saban, about a bit of the history of the mosque as well as the current activities. But right now, let us chat to Marwan Hassan, who is an actor, and he'll be telling us a little bit about how he copes with his work in the month of Ramadan.
Life as an actor, that you know what it's like, you've been in it yourself. Can be tough, not for sissies. Gotta get up early in the morning. Sometimes you're half naked in the river in the mornings and that sort of thing. Otherwise, it's very gratifying because if you have a character like mine, personality like mine, then you need to be different people at different times, different places, different times. You can't be tied to a desk or anything. So yeah, it suits me fine. 20 years, I think. Done about 60, 70 pieces. Television, features, commercials for international and local market, and the money's starting to get really good now. Playing Lenin and doing it in Russian, having my own language to make up in Species Odyssey, and that was being naked, almost totally naked on the river on the raft, What else? There was some good stuff here actually. 34 South, I did a very good speech with some young people that I mentored in the film itself. The role I played was a mentor. You see, there were some good ones, there were some excellent ones, but now you're catching me off guard now. Well, I do painting. I've had my first exhibition in 1995 at, I don't know who ran, I forgot that it was a medical thing that was being done. I had an exhibition there, I sold my first painting there in fact. Mostly rakams, mostly Islamic stuff, Then I also do pottery making, I do carving, that sort of thing, everything artistic. On the writing side, I've just been a finalist in the Writers Guild competition, the Muse Awards competition. I've just been a finalist there for a feature film. I've just entered a thing for SAFM now, for the radio play. So yeah, it's and the first thing I did was first I started off with writing. Actually, I started off with a play. I was broke, and I saw this advert in the paper, and I wrote this play in 9 hours, and I threw it in the envelope, and I sent it away, and I got third prize against Fatima Mio won first prize. It was in 1974. As an actor, before you even get to Ramadan, you got to set the parameters. You got to say, look, I don't do acting. In liquor ads, I don't do cigarette adverts. I don't do adverts that denigrate any religion, Islam or any other religion. I don't do it, just don't do it. You got to set the parameters very early in your career. You got to let the agent know that, and then you got to transfer that message because agent will, if it sees money, they will try and get you to do the role. So you've got to establish that firstly, and yeah, from there you can take it from there. If you go to Ramadan again. You got to know your principles, your ethics, your morals. You got to apply it. You can't go and eat on the site. As first, I did a shoot once where I was complaining that they were starting too early because I had to do Fajr first and that sort of thing. And they said, no, but we've all got all these guys that are Muslims and they also say it's fine. So, there was that juxtaposition on the site, with people that want to fast and people that don't want to fast, people that want to do, things Islamically, people who don't want to do. If you sell your religion for a couple of rand, well, you're going to be paying for it in the end, I mean, it might be, it's not a couple of rand, it might be thousands, in fact. I've got a very good friend that ended up doing a job that I refused to do, which was for the local lottery. And, so I can't advertise gambling, I can't do that. And he decided he can do it. Another one did an advert for liquor. I couldn't do that either. Because in the end, I mean, you're going to be sitting there and you're thinking, one day you're in the old age or whatever you're going to say, I shouldn't have done that because now there might be a Muslim guy that thinks it's okay to drink or whatever. And somebody's, some kid is sitting there and they're saying it's okay to drink, You can't do that. On the other side, of course, you can do anti-drug things for free. You can do anti-drink things for free, anti-women against violence against women and children free. Those kind of things. You got to do your bit for the community on that side. Ramadan has changed me a lot. I can tell you that because I'm a loose guy, man. I'm very loose, man. Morals wise, and that's why when I was young. Oh my goodness, I don't want to talk about things like that. But every year, when it comes to Ramadan, you find that at the end of Ramadan, you feel sad. You don't know why you're feeling sad. And I realized what it was. It was changing me, and then I was reverting back to my old lifestyles. So what I did was I made a conscious effort. When I succeeded in achieving something in Ramadan, and I carried it on. So I can say over about the last 10 years, I've changed myself completely. I'm not just violent. I used to be a violent guy, I used to step off at anything. Not that I hit people and that sort of thing, but, I was explosive. And I could erupt very quickly and that sort of a thing. But I don't do that kind of a thing anymore. I'm much more calm now.
Always a pleasure to listen and speak to my good friend Marwan Hassan, a notable actor on the South African entertainment scene. My name is Mehboob Bawa. This is episode 3 of Living Ramadan, coming to you today from the Jamia Masjid here on the corner of Castle and Kapini Streets in Cape Town in the Boer Kaap. It is the largest mosque in the Boer Kaap, and a very interesting fact about this mosque, a historical fact, is that it's alongside the disused stone quarry, and that was the location back in 1790 where the very first Jummah was held in Cape Town. Right now we are going to be looking at a non-Muslim's perspective of Ramadan.
Knowledge of Ramadan since the earliest days, growing up in Cape Town here, close by these areas. I'm also aware that in the Jewish faith, on the holiest day of the year, Yom Kippur, fasting takes place. And that in the Christian faith, it used to be very much that every Friday one should fast and then only eat fish when one broke the fast. But I have always been aware of the fact that Ramadan lasts as long as it does, and that it lasts from sunrise to sunset. And particularly during the long sunny days of summer, I find it hard to imagine not going without a drink or anything to eat. But it symbolizes a cleansing of the spirit. It symbolizes to me a focusing of one's life over a period that must have an impact on what one does for the rest of the year. So for me, it is an entirely praiseworthy and remarkable phenomenon.
It's episode 3 of Living Ramadan with me, Mehboob Bawa, and we are at the Jamia Masjid, which is on the corner of Kapini and Castle Street in the Boer Kaap. Now, from the information given to me by the Imam of the Masjid, Imam Saban, that the Jamia Mosque serves as a reminder of the Cape Muslims in the Battle of Blouberg and the Battle of the Axe, in order for the construction site of a mosque to be acquired. And that was some of the historical information relating to this masjid, which in itself, dating back to 1850, is a historical and a heritage site in any case. Right now we are going to be focusing on some of the activities of the Muslim Students Association and an outreach program that they were involved in during the month of Ramadan. But first, an inspirational message from Nuha Esop.
So there's something that I have been practicing and I've been testing recently, and that's the state of surrender. It is not an easy thing because surrender doesn't mean giving up. It means handing over, letting go, allowing yourself to be part of the flow. And yeah, I've now come to realize that in order to surrender, there needs to be an emphatic trust that whatever will be okay, regardless if it looks good or bad. And it releases you from the worry that you may have for anything, somebody being ill, financial issues, relationship issues. You just naturally let it go and trust that it will be taken care of in the best way possible. So I urge you to try, maybe just for one day, and try to just surrender, let it go, hand it over.
So the Muslim Students Association has been an organization that is quite global. Founded primarily in more westernized societies to cater for Muslim students attending universities and so forth. However, in South Africa it has a history spanning from the early 70s in conjunction with the Muslim youth movement. Some of the founding members that have contributed to this particular organization are currently with us and serving in an alumni capacity. But nonetheless, currently it serves approximately 3,000 students in the Western Cape alone. So I speak on behalf of the Muslim Students Association Western Cape, of which I'm the chairperson. My name is Mohammed Sheikh. So basically it is an organization that is youth driven, and it is also an organization that caters for Muslim students' needs particularly, as well as an alternative to some of the social programs that we are familiar with, that attract and appeal to the youth, bringing about a tinge of religion, a tinge of spirituality, an all-encompassing feel to holistic growth of and development of youth in general. So Western Cape, alhamdulillah, we've got approximately 8 establishments that fall under this banner of Muslim Student Association of the Cape, and basically each university, each higher level of education, tertiary education, has its own sub-chapter or subcommittee, so to say, and all of them fall within the ambit of the MSA Cape. So basically some of the things perhaps that we try and accommodate for on campus, things such as student services, trying to source bursaries for student holders, trying to create halal food, halal catering, accommodation. So that is one focus. In addition to that, we have communal events to which many of the students as well as the greater public are part of. Some of them are natured towards social events, others are natured towards community-based events, all in the holistic development and in the growth of youth. So earlier on this year, we started off with a leadership workshop. Basically, it was titled The A to Z of Running a Muslim Organization. So we know that in the time of the Prophet, there were principles that existed and were termed in a particular way, a particular fashion of organization. However, in modern day society, we've tried to adapt all these principles into a setting that is conducive to the more applicable, the more appropriate structures that we are familiar with on a day-to-day basis. And we had a 2 days intensive leadership workshop that was dedicated to teach youngsters all the know-hows of social communication, of professional communication, of marketing strategies, of events management, all of these encompassed in this particular program. And then later on in the year, around April, May, the beginning of May, we had what is known as the annual MSA Orphans Fund Day. So basically, we gather orphanages from all around Western Cape. We take them out on a fun-filled day, giving the caretakers a breather from their day-to-day activities, in order to ensure that we create a form of bonding between our students as well as the orphans themselves, as was the great practice of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So basically, this particular event aimed at making us youth appreciate the innumerable favors that we have upon us, the luxuries that we have on a day-to-day basis, and also creating that room in our hearts for those that are less fortunate, in particularly those children that were deprived of parents from a very young age. So this event concluded earlier on this year, and currently, as we are speaking today, we have the Ramadan program, which is known as Haqibatul Ramadan, or parcels, food parcels for the community members that cannot afford, that cannot fast, that cannot enjoy the same privilege of this great act of worship because of the inability to have or to break fast or to begin fast with in the first place. So we try to make it possible for such homes to enjoy Ramadan with us in the spirit of giving, in the spirit of charity, in the spirit of community orientation, to try and give them a meal or two per day in order to ensure that they also enjoy the wonderful month of Ramadan. So as we can see today, we have parcels, we have an assembly of different items, non-perishable items that are collected into a big hamper, and today we are proud to say that we are packing 2,340 parcels that will be distributed to different organizations as well as students that are living on residence that cannot afford cannot afford meals per se, that are living hand to mouth, and this will give them a kind of a breather, at least for this month, inshallah, to try and enjoy the spirit of Ramadan with us. So we have a variety of volunteers today, young and old, every diverse background. They're all here today in order to pack these hampers, and will also engage in distribution today and later tomorrow to different community members, different people that are in need of such wonderful parcels. So yes, as we can see, it's a bit of the assembly itself is quite lengthy, is quite tiresome, but yes, it gives us the appreciation for this beautiful month.
You're watching Living Ramadan, episode 3. We've just seen the Muslim Students Association with their outreach program for Ramadan, and prior to that we had an inspirational message from Nuha Esop. My name is Mehboob Bawa, and we come to you today from the Jamia Masjid here in Burkap, in Kapini Street, corner of Kapini and Castle Street in the Burkap. Now this masjid attracts many musallis, especially for Jummah on a Friday, and we are here on this Friday for the Jummah prayers as well, and it sometimes has a capacity of more than 1,000 people coming for Jummah, so people will stretch out onto the balcony area where we are at the moment, and even down into the parking area to perform their salah, and it just bursts at the seams. Hence an effort has been made to raise funds over a period of time, and construction has started on a refurbishment and renovations for additional space for the musallis of this masjid. That is some information on the mosque. We are going to be chatting to Imam Abdul Moti Saban, who is the resident Imam of this masjid, in a little bit, and he'll give us some indication as to the outreach programs that they're involved in at the moment with this mosque and that they have been undertaking over a number of years. But for now, we are going to get a global perspective on Ramadan.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ramadan Mubarak to everyone in South Africa. I greet you from Doha, Qatar, in the Middle East. Year 6 of my time here. My name is Ridwan Bawa, here in Doha with my family, and enjoying this wonderful time of year, especially in Qatar, in the Gulf. It's a unique period here. We have very hot days, temperatures soar to the upper 40s during the day, but what that means is that people are encouraged to take advantage of the slightly cooler evenings. And they've been encouraged to do so by the government, by health authorities, by sporting authorities to keep fit. Hospitals regularly during Ramadan issue warnings for people to not overindulge, to watch their diet, to watch how they eat, what they eat, and to try and stay fit. And there are organizations like the Aspire Foundation who hold nighttime tournaments and events during Ramadan. They have cricket tournaments, football tournaments, volleyball tournaments. They do everything they can to try and encourage people to stay fit. We are very fortunate to have with us today, for me to be sitting next to Abdul Malik Qasim. Abdul Malik, who is in Doha for 13 years, but hails from Paarl in the Western Cape, and is presently the head tennis coach of the National Tennis Academy Smash, and is a former professional tennis player himself, as well as being the football coach for the Cape Flats Sports Academy, which has its roots in Cape Town, and the football team from the Cape Flats Sports Academy recently toured Qatar. So I think a few better than Abdul Malik, than Coach Abdul Malik Qasim, to give us his perspective on keeping fit and healthy during Ramadan.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ramadan Kareem to all our brothers and sisters in Cape Town. We are very, very far from you, but we miss Cape Town. You know, there's only one city. You can be wherever in the world, but Cape Town will be in our blood. To cater for the people, even during Ramadan, we focus a lot on physical exercise, whether it's walking at nights, whether it's doing activities at nights after Taraweeh. Many sporting clubs have their training from 9 o'clock till about 11 o'clock. So life basically at night, it's alive here in Qatar. I, for example, during Ramadan, the royal family of Qatar have a VIP tennis tournament in the Sheraton Hotel indoor facility every night for the first 2 weeks of Ramadan. And what they do is they take the royal family that plays, and they take the best tennis players and coaches to partner them in a VIP doubles tournament, and every year I'm invited to play. Just to end off, to all my brothers and sisters in Cape Town, you know, we are very far, like many South Africans. We are about 500 South African families in Doha now. But I can tell you, when our football team played, we had a fantastic crowd, South African crowd, supporting our team. But I can tell you, with all my heart, I can tell you that although we are here and we are working, we are here for a reason. We are here to suffice our families, but most definitely our hearts will always be in Cape Town.
We've come to the end of episode 3 of Living Ramadan. Our location today has been the Jamia Masjid in Kapini Street. With me today is Imam Abdul Moti Saban, the resident Imam here. Assalamu alaikum, Imam.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Shukran for having us here for our program.
Pleasure.
How long have you been the Imam at the Masjid?
Yeah, it's just been the other day. I'm physically in this masjid now for the past 55 years, and I've been the Imam now here for 39 years, going on for 40 years. So alhamdulillah, I thank the Almighty for that, and my parents who have guided me, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. What outreach programs are you involved in at the Masjid? Is it focused here in the Burqa or elsewhere as well?
I would say, 90% of my outreach programs are more outside the area, because there are about 9 mosques here in the Burqa, and mostly my marriage classes are all over the Western Cape. In fact, up to the Boerland, I've been to PE, etc. But I have my marriage classes and my Sunday morning lectures. I've been in Manenberg for the past 37 years. And all the other programs, our poor relief programs, are mostly in the sub-economic areas and the poorer areas. So it's outside the Burqa area. Okay. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. So you're certainly stretching far and wide with the relief work that you're doing as well.
As far as my Creator gives me the health to do that.
Inshallah. We are coming towards the end of Ramadan. We are in the last 10 days of Ramadan with this program, and we're looking forward to Eid as well.
Yeah.
What message do you have for our community?
Yeah, I think Ramadan is such a blessed month and such a holy month, and we have fasted many years in our lives, and Allah the Almighty has given us another opportunity. And the last 10 days of the month of Ramadan is called Itq min al-Nar, where we are freed from the fire of the Jahannam. And I think every Muslim needs to take the opportunity to up their spiritual level and come closer to the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For me and you do not know whether this is going to be Allah's Ramadan, but we pray to Allah and make dua that Allah grant us many more years, inshallah, for all the viewers. And we ask Allah the Almighty to accept from us our ibadah and grant us just another opportunity to do justice during this holy month of Ramadan.
Shukran, Imam, for your time. I wish you everything the best.
Inshallah, to you and your family and the viewers. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
With that, we have come to the end of Living Ramadan episode 3. I look forward to speaking to you in the next episode. Remember to cherish every moment in the company of the special people in your life. Let them know as often as possible that they are important to you, that you appreciate having them with you, and that you love them dearly. I wish you peace and blessings. Salam.